also one of the first to say, guys, I think as an industry, we are growing too fast right now. And I think we are seeing signs of extreme exuberance. And I think the top is in. How did you manage to do that? And what were those signs?
Um, yeah, well, I guess the DeFi top was in late August. That was just a really, really crazy time for me with all the farming going on. I would say the start of the DeFi hype was probably the launch of Comp. And basically, since that day, I've been sleeping 3 to 4 hours a night just trying to stay on top of everything. I've been in this space for a while,
Mhm.
so I think I have a pretty good stamina as a participant. But this was just going on for weeks and weeks. The thing was, though, it was just really that the quality of the projects popping out was just starting to deteriorate at a very quick
Oh
pace.
yeah.
Yeah, we had Yam, and then we had a dozen Yam inspired food clones. We
Hmm.
had Wifey, and then again we had a dozen more Wifeys inspired these fair lunch clones. And these cycles just kept repeating, and every new thing just got shorter and shorter as people realized that the optimal strategy here was really just the exit earlier than others,
Hmm.
basically front run other people, and everyone was trying to front run everyone else on the way out. Initially the Yam game that took I think 2 weeks to play out. The last of the food farms that I was looking at were collapsing within a day or two. Um, I mean, I guess, of course, as a heavy DeFi user, I was also just pretty active throughout this entire period. I was just moving farm to farm as an honest farmer, being on the front lines and seeing how much worse, you know, every new project got was playing out.
Hmm.
And that was basically a tell for me that, this insanity would eventually have to end. Personally, I actually felt the sushi swap was the top. Sushi swap. It was by far the riskiest type of DeFi farming that had come on the scene. Previously, the only time you'd be taking risks, other than this malicious or smart contract risk, would be if you were brave or I guess silly enough to participate in the pool twos of the farming projects. And SushiSwap pretty much has forced all of these, farming participants, most of whom have never done liquidity provision before. They all suddenly just injected hundreds of millions of liquidity in the Uniswap. And one of the problems with these DeFi tokens until that point were were that these DeFi tokens were just pretty illiquid. And now with Sushi Swaps is incentivizing everyone to provide liquidity, it just created this huge opportunity for anyone looking the exit to finally swim out to this massive ocean of liquidity. And I guess at the same time, while all this was going on, I was just printing a massive amount of money every day, by just participating in Sushi Swap. It was just so surreal. I kept saying to myself, this is retarded. This doesn't make any sense. What could be more silly than this? I was pretty much scared of how ridiculously rich I was getting each passing day. And that made me stop and think, I should probably get out now. The last time I had these kind of ridiculous thoughts were at the 2017 peaks. You know what? That didn't really end too well for me. So I learned my lesson from that.
So you're saying not only would basically the prices of these tokens collapse when the subsidy ends, but it also provided exit liquidity for their largest holders.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I sort of had guessed that stuff like Yam and Wifey, there'd probably be more sushi style clones popping up. They really use these Uniswap LP shares as farming assets in their pool ones. Which we did see with things like Sashimi and Moonswap. But it's just like how all these other projects collapsed really fast. That basically happened there as well. So my thesis eventually became that none of these clones could provide as much liquidity as SushiSwap during the initial reward period, and that shrinking liquidity would just cause larger holders to head for the exit. While the liquidity ocean was still available to them. And I guess basically everyone was farming at hundreds of percent of annual yields for the past month or so. How many people would want to send those assets back to their native protocol to be used, as intended, and probably earn either massively reduced returns, relatively speaking, or some of them earn, just nothing at all. So, I guess it was this confluence, the ever increasing sentiments of revolving around the DeFi farming situation, and the thesis that is going to be pretty hard for anything, to top Sushi Swap as a DeFi farm. And that made me think that we'll probably be heading lower once reality sets in that this is can't last forever. We didn't invest in some perpetual free money machine based on digital food farming, so yeah, eventually had the end.
Yeah.